The skies above major cities in Sudan remained covered in dark smoke on Sunday as warplanes on bombing raids drew heavy fire over Khartoum. Despite their uneasy calm over the last 72 hours, fighting entered a third week.
Currently, there's a rather loose ceasefire, especially in the capital. But that has not, of course, allowed, for instance, the kind of humanitarian help to reach Sudan, in part because the main airport is not accessible. And so it's increasingly difficult to be able to deliver humanitarian aid, either from the region or from the outside. And of course, that is exacerbating the already bad humanitarian situation.
While the international community has made major steps in getting their people to safety, not many African countries have been that successful.
There are two problems that I think plague general African evacuation when it comes to situations of crisis of conflict, for instance. Number one has to do with lack of capacity of many African countries to be able to evacuate citizens at a moment's notice. Two, it also has to do with a lot of times African countries do not anticipate and prepare for eventualities insofar as their citizens are concerned.
About 70% of hospitals in areas near the fighting have been put out of service and many have been shelled. The closure of the airspace has seriously impacted evacuations of foreign nationals. For those still inside Sudan, medical care is a huge challenge. The latest three-day ceasefire, due to expire at midnight Sunday, was agreed Thursday after mediation led by the United States, Saudi Arabia, the African Union and the United Nations.
The trajectory that the Sudanese revolution took after the fall of Omar al-Bashir has been very tricky. First, you have the military who stepped in to fill the vacuum. The civilian political groups were not unified in vision on how to manage the transition. So you remember after the fall of Bashir, it took a number of months for the military and civilian leadership to agree on a transition that brought Prime Minister Hamdok.
The cost for Sudan getting peace will require, number one, the international community actively stepping in, and like I was saying, all these external actors in this theater of conflict need to back down. The UAE, Egypt, Haftar in Libya, the Russian Wagner group, all these need to be told to stand down. If they do, there's a possibility that Dagalo and Burhan can be made to see reason. Okay, the threat of sanctions, the threat of ICC, which is still a very viable option, even though al-Bashir has never been taken there. But these are instruments that the international community can use.
Sudan's former Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok warned that the conflict could deteriorate into one of the world's worst civil wars if not stopped early.
This blow-up did not just drop from the blue sky. It was a result of a build-up that took a number of months after the ousting of President al-Bashir. You remember the coalition of the militaries. These were not precisely the same army providing leadership in order to fill the vacuum after the fall of President al-Bashir. But this was a coalition of different armed groups.
The international community should have stepped in, should have been in 2021. When Hamdok was thrown out, that is the time the international community should have stepped in and told Burhan and Dagalo, look here, we need concrete steps in how you're going to restore civilian rule. And if pressure had been applied then, they would not have been given an opportunity to entrench themselves to an extent where right now you cannot ignore them.
Doctors Without Borders, MSF, has said that there were reports of widespread looting, destruction and burning of property, including at camps for displaced people. The fighting had forced the agency to stop almost all its activities in West Darfur.